Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Excalumber. Excalumber is a log truck complete with a fully loaded trailer. I thought this could be a really fun vehicle to make into a Transformer, as we don't really get to see much variation in trailers throughout the franchise. There's the occasional tanker, and of course Magnus is a car carrier, but generally most trailers we see are just the basic box style. I always like to explore unconventional alt modes, and while Excalumber is still a normal semi, his trailer definitely stands out as unique. But for now, let's get it out of the way so we can focus on the cab alone. When I initially started planning Excalumber, I envisioned his truck mode as being very sleek, like a bullet train on wheels almost. In the end, I went for a more conventional semi-truck design, but I do think some of that original intent does carry over in details like the sloping hood or wind vane. Usually I would try to avoid making a Transformer so predominantly gray, as it's not a particularly exciting color. However, it was too perfect for his robot mode, so I had to go with it. The placement of his accent colors are also in service of the robot mode. Usually I'd want to introduce more of the white or Keat orange on the model, but they're placed how they are to pick out specific details in bot mode. Behind the cab he has a light bar, which wasn't based off any real-life source material, and is more so a requirement of his transformation. Regardless of if it's a realistic inclusion, I do think it looks good and makes enough sense to me that a big, heavy piece of machinery like this would have warning lights. Other than that, there's not a lot of detail in the back, just a pair of jumpers to connect the trailer. Speaking of which, the trailer is not actually part of him. It's his squire, Camelog. He's a super straightforward build, but I had a lot of fun building him and coming up with his transformation. In this mode, he's a fairly unassuming trailer with a decent level of detail. There's a pair of tanks represented on either side and a trio of red taillights. In the back, I've added a caution stripe tile. If possible, I would have loved to include one of those oversized load banners here, but of course I'm limited by the prints and stickers LEGO actually makes, and I think the caution stripes are good enough. The trailer hitch is a basic jumper which can be connected to Excalumber and serve as a pivot point. Once the two components are connected, they make an amazing truck. They're a fresh take on what is a quintessential Autobot alt mode, and it's really fun having a proper convoy to go with my other Autobot OCs. But that's all there is to say about alt mode, so now it's time to transform. In robot mode, Excalumber is all upper body. His proportions are incredibly exaggerated, as I've tried to make him a very cartoony tough guy. As his name suggests, he's meant to be a knight, which of course is why I made him light gray, as I felt it was the most appropriate color to approximate knight armor. The Keat orange wind vane splits to form his pecs, and the white fenders are meant to emulate a fur collar. His head is a straight-up LEGO knight helmet, which does a much better job of selling the concept than I think a brick-built head would have at this scale. The legs are formed from the truck's light bar. These were the last part of the model I added, and by the time I reached them, the whole truck had already been used up for his upper body. So the legs needed to turn into something on the back of the cab, and I decided to add a light bar. All around, he's got a very clean and efficient transformation that leaves him with very little kibble. Moving on to Camelog, he is similarly very exaggerated in his proportions. Transforming this guy is super fun. The trailer simply folds together into a sad little knight, and the trailer's prongs form his shrimpy little limbs. My favorite part is that the wheels end up on his back and resemble bedrolls. While it is possible to balance him, I have built a very basic stand so that he can be posed much more easily. Everything about Camelog is so characterful, and especially when placed next to Excalumber, I think you can instantly get a read for who he is. Last but not least, we still have some logs to deal with. These can transform to become weapons for Excalumber. He gets decked out with a wooden sword and shield, and is ready to take on any Decepticon he sees. Together, these two are an incredibly fun pair. They complement each other so well and have some of the most characterful designs I've ever made. There's so much personality and storytelling inherent to how these two look, and they truly feel like characters that leapt off the screen of some long-lost, goofy Transformers cartoon. Anyways, that's all I have for now, so I'll see you next time.